I'm going to show you how to save 5 to 10 hours every month using the Smartlead to Clay integration to retarget leads and distribute leads across multiple campaigns, all of it from one single Clay table. I have this Clay table, this sample Clay table in here, pretty standard data, first name, last name, company name, website, email, personal LinkedIn, title, city, and industry. Now, the first thing you want to do with any set of data is obviously verified. So I run this minute verified column to verify all of the data, all of the email addresses. I'm going to call it validate, and I'm going to add today's date here. And I'm going to explain why this is important. So I'm going to say validate 9/11, and we want to add the result as a separate column. We don't want the email column. So I'm just going to delete this. This is the validation result, right? So rename this to validation result 9/11. Now, let's talk about the first use case, which is retargeting leads periodically from one Clay table. What does this actually mean? Now, if you're running outbound campaigns, you are probably hitting the same leads over and over again every month, every 2 months, every 3 months, or every 6 months, depending on the volume you're doing with your outbound campaigns and the size of your total addressable market. Let's say you have 50,000 leads that you're reaching out to every 2 months. So say you're reaching out to 25,000 leads per month and you're reaching out to 50,000 leads every 2 months. Now, each time you do this, if you were doing this manually, you would have to find those leads from various search through Google Sheets, find those leads, verify them again, upload them to campaigns, and then go from there. With this Clay table, you just need to build this table once. This example, let's take these are all the leads in your campaigns. You just have to validate these here. Let's say you were using custom variables by researching their website, researching their LinkedIn, you created custom snippets. Let's assume city and industry are those custom snippets. So you need to do all of that work just once. And then in the future, the next time you use these leads in the same campaign, all you need to do is create an extra smart lead column, right? The easiest way to push leads from here into smart lead is creating a column here. And before we do that, we need to create a test campaign on smart lead. So I'm going to create this here, test campaign 1. I'm going to call it, hi, this is a test, and we'll add the variable. So let's say we use city as a variable. I'm going to call it custom variable city, and I'm going to save this. We need to add a subject line, so let's add city as the subject line. Sorry, it has to be the same thing. It has to be custom variable city as a subject line. Save changes and click next. Under the setup section, you need to pick a sender account. So I'm just going to pick one here. Schedule, you need to choose a schedule. So let's just choose a random time zone. Campaign settings. Again, obviously optimize email delivery. Don't drag opens 50% here. Actually, I don't need to configure this. I got carried away. And this is the final review section. So now this campaign is ready to be used. We can start sending leads. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to assign this to the test client so that you can see this campaign. And now you see test campaign 1 here. While we're at it, let's also create test campaign 2 because this will be useful. Confirm and proceed. Rename this to test campaign 2. For sequences, this time let's use the industry variable. Save and next, same settings, click save general, save and next, and start campaign, skip, add update client, assign to the same client. Boom, there you go. So now you go back to your Clay table and you simply search for enrichment, search for smart lead. It'll show up right here. Smart lead, add lead to campaign. Click this button. Choose your account. You need to have your API key added here. If you haven't done that, click manage accounts, go in here, connect smart lead, add your API key. You'll find your API key under your settings. So you go to settings and you'll see your API key. I don't want to reveal that. But yeah, it's that easy. So your API key needs to be added here. And now you start mapping fields. Very intuitive. First is you need to select the campaign that you just created. So since we want to push these to test campaign 1, for example, I'm just going to choose that. The email addresses, now you map all of the fields. So you map the email address, you map the first name to the first name in your table. Do the same thing with the last name. We don't have phone numbers here, so we're not going to map those. Website, map it to the website in your table. LinkedIn URL is mapped. Company name, map it to the company name in your table. Company URL is the website again. and then custom fields, right? So now this is where you want to add your city. So go here. This is the name of the custom field on Smartlead, right? So this has to be custom variable city, and this is the value. So this is your column, which is city. Let's add another one. This one, it doesn't need the other variable, because if you remember the test campaign one, it only uses one custom value, one custom variable, which is the city. So this one, we don't need it. And make sure these settings are enabled correctly. So because we're doing it for the first use case, which is retargeting leads, what we're trying to show, what the situation we're trying to create is, let's say you reached out to these leads today on 11th September, and then you needed to reach out to them again on 11th December. How would you do that, right? So first, let's create this column. Under these conditions, make sure you specify the correct conditions. So in this case, you need to make sure the email is valid. If you were using other filters as well for, say, the title or the city, you would use those as well. And here, I'm just going to say, use AI, only run if validate result is valid. That was correct, save formula. And take a look at these settings. So you don't want to allow duplicate leads across campaigns, because if a lead has been added to a campaign, you don't want to send the same message to the same lead again. And allow leads from community bounce list. We typically leave these on because we've already verified all our emails. Up to you how you want to configure this. Now, this option is going to be important. And alongside this, there's something else that you need to be doing, which we internally continue to do, which is every 30 to 45 days, delete leads that haven't replied. This helps you save on your Smartlead subscription cost, because now you're only storing active leads on your Smartlead account. And this also makes the whole workflow cleaner, because you can safely assume that when you reach out to these same leads again, the only leads that will be on Smartlead are the ones that responded. So when you have this option disabled, you automatically ensure that any of these leads, if they responded the first time around, they will not be pushed to the campaign the second time around. Save, and let's run these 9 rows for now. Right? So now all of these 9 rows will be run. Oh, actually, none of these emails were. So the condition was incorrect. We need to set it up to say, okay, not valid. Save and run 9 rows. So now it's going to run a bunch of these. And this is your campaign. I'm going to rename this column again. So SL, I'm going to call it 911. And there you go. Done. Boom. So you go to the campaign, go inside test campaign 1, look at the lead list. You see 6 emails already uploaded here. Now I'm going to delete 2 of those. Let's say of these 6, only Joanna and Allison responded. The rest of them did not reply. So I'm going to delete these other leads, and we're going to keep these 2. Now, say 6 months have passed or 3 months have passed, and now you want to push these same leads to the campaign again. This time to a different campaign. So you have a test campaign called test campaign 2, and this time you want to push those leads to that campaign. What you will do this time around is you'll create this validate column again, especially if it's been more than 3 months since you last validated these emails. You will need to validate these again. So you're going to just duplicate this column. You can't do that. So I'm going to go here, add enrichment, verify, million verifier, verify email. There you go. Configure, choose the account headers. The API keys are set up correctly. I'm going to click save, and let's verify it again for the sake of this test. Now this one, I'm going to rename this to validate 1111, because let's say we're doing it 2 months later. Same process, exact same process as earlier. Add the result column, call it result 1111, add it as a column. Okay, we added it twice. I'm going to delete this one. And now you're going to create another Smartlead column. So add enrichment, search for Smartlead. Exactly the same thing that we did earlier, add lead to a campaign. This time you're going to select campaign number 2. So test campaign 2. I'm not going to map these variables this time around just to save time on this video, but let's map the custom fields. So this time, let's map custom variable industry, and the value would be the industry column. Save. Again, this option should be disabled. only run if use AI, only run if validity. And this time you don't want to use the 911 validity, you want to use the 1111 validity, because you want to make sure that these emails were validated recently, right? So here you want to go to the result section, equals to, okay, generate formula. This is going to write the formula for you. Verify. Okay, looks good, except save and run 9 rows in this view. Now what's interesting is you'll see that Allison and Joanna are not going to be pushed. See, it failed. So these two leads, because they already exist in test campaign 1, they were not added to test campaign 2, and the remaining 4 leads are added here. I'm going to also show you how this looks like in final review. So the variables have been replaced correctly, right? Each of them have their respective industries added here. Same thing with campaign number 1. So this is how reusing leads is going to be a lot easier. Anytime you need to reuse leads for a new campaign, all you need to do is create a new validation column and create a new smart lead column, set it up and let it run. That's it. No downloading leads, no uploading leads. These leads will continue to get added to the campaign as and when the the validation column returns a result. So that's use case number 1. Now let's do use case number 2, which is distributing leads across multiple campaigns from one Clay table. Or actually, I'm just going to cover this in another video just to keep this video small and palatable. So that's all for now.